Now, the 70s were another pivotal era for sci-fi alien movies, and I loved a lot of the stuff that came out of the 70s, which was very different than what we saw in the 50s and the 60s, and reflected how we were changing as a culture. Now, by the 70s, we'd already made it to the moon, and one of the things we realized about space is that shit is empty. And that decade began with this optimism, but really ended in this paranoia. Environmental grew, moral exhaustion. The alien genre mirrored that perfectly. Gone were the Martian invaders and the utopian messengers of the 50s and the 60s. These new aliens weren't necessarily coming to destroy us or enlighten us, but they were here to judge. So this is when the story stopped really being about the aliens and kind of started being more about us and like what we were doing. So we get into this genre pretty quickly, and it gets pretty fast. The first gem that we have, of course, is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And this was an amazing film because this was kind of a spiritual experience, right? Spielberg turned this alien contact into more of a modern religious experience. Richard Dreyfuss literally isn't fighting aliens, he's ascending. He's driven by this obsession that really mimics madness. And the alien, this is like a divine therapist, and they're only taking people who are willing to abandon their ordinary lives. So Contact is no longer about conquest. This is about like an initiation, becoming more like them. Now, we roll out of this and come right into Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is 1978. And this was about paranoia from the 50s, reborn. Except it's real personal. It changed from the original Body Snatchers. Post-Watergate, we didn't fear communism. We feared conformity itself. That's what we were fighting against. Those old pods, they didn't just replace you. They erased emotion, empathy, and free thought. So this film is a quiet terror of becoming what the system wants you to be. Assimilation as evolution and literally extinction of the self. And we could see the terror, man, that came from this. When you got pointed out like that, man, it was over and you already know it was going to be bad business. From this, then we get into Solaris. Now, this was a great film. This is a masterpiece that said the alien is the human soul being projected back at us. This sentient ocean, it doesn't attack, it remembers us. It forces us to face all the guilt and the grief. It's this cosmic therapy through some real trauma. So no gunfire, laser beams, just an emotional dissection under the microscope of eternity. The real lesson is that the real alien is your unresolved past, and they're not going to come here to save you. You're going to have to work through all those dark parts all by yourself. But it's just an excellent film and kind of, giving a vibe for what we were feeling at the time as humans. The next thing we really look at is The Man Who Fell from Earth. And this would be 1976. It's a groundbreaking film where he arrives, as Thomas Newton arrives to save his dying planet. He needs water from ours. But ultimately, like the human greed system, lust, corruption, literally destroys him. We destroyed the alien. Here, the alien actually represents this innocence, and the Earth, like we're the actual predators. So we've inverted this parable. The invaders who corrupted everything are us. And by the end of this tragedy, we've got a new reflection, like this post-hippie disillusionment of peace, love, and understanding. It was proven to be defeated by capitalism. That's actually what won. And we saw this carry out, and I think in real society. So it really does say a lot. The Andromeda Strain. Now this is one of my favorites. This is a cold horror where the invader isn't a being, it's biology. This is a microorganism from space, and it kills without intelligence, morality, or even like a motive. It's the fear of science outpacing control, of sterile progress replacing empathy. The alien isn't just evil, it's different. So different that we can't deal with it, and this anxiety of this age of learning, man, can't save us from ourselves. So it's always this darkness that's always going to be out there that we also have to worry about. Now, when we get into Dark Star, this is 1974. This is John Carpenter's student film, which turned into this existential farce about astronauts bored to death, destroying planets. The ship's AI debates philosophy while talking bomb. This is space exploration really becomes absurdity and not adventure. It's the alien genre as a burnout. This is a cosmic office comedy about human spiritual exhaustion of all this stuff we have going on about space. But another interesting take, I think, was this 1974 edition of Phase 4, where we looked at whether ants, like this is a whole different, like kind of hypnotic gem where Our demise comes about by intelligence, but a different type of intelligence. The ants form a collective consciousness, and it studies and it surpasses humanity. So the evolution and judgment changes. The planet is deciding to move on with this by hosting a new top being through these ants who are a lot smarter than we are. And this is a quiet apocalypse that survives, like, we're run out of here. Our time is done. Then we get into the Alien Incident, another great gem coming from this era. And this was all about abduction. This is the first interracial couple in America to claim alien contact. And this film brought about like this psychological realism. The horror isn't cosmic, it's social. Two outsiders traumatized by both aliens and racism. It blurred the line between trauma memory and, the extraterrestrial experience. And this movie wasn't about contact, it was pain manifesting itself as memory and how these two get treated. Then we get to some of the good stuff, man. This is 1979 and Ridley Scott comes in with this masterpiece, Alien, which took alien biology for the first time and weaponized it for the purposes of capitalism. This is the first time we get introduced to Weyland-Yutani, where we're sending out humans to retrieve a creature that really represents everything that humans fear, right? It's sex ray, it's birds, infection, all this stuff for profit. And really Ripley, survives not through strength, but just in being aware of the situation. She's the one human who actually listens to the warning. So this began a genre of transformation completed by Ridley Scott's work. The alien no longer symbolize invasion or enlightenment. They symbolize human corruption, like what we would do and what we hope for. So we see us continually tracking on different reflections of ourselves during our alien movies. I think they're very apparent in that. So this is the 70s, which has been great. We're going to deal with the 80s next, but go check out the old videos. We've done the 50s and the 60s. I think it's a refreshing take and way to look at some of our favorite alien films.